Welcome to From Beyond with your host, Glenn Boddice. Join me as we explore spirituality, self-help, and channeling spirit. Hello and welcome to From Beyond with your host, Glenn Boddice, spiritual medium. Thank you for tuning in for another deep dive conversation. As in this week's episode, we're going to be discussing the topic of blending with nature. Also in this week's episode, we have the channeling from the world of spirit, which sees me becoming a vessel for spirit to bring their wisdoms and communications through. And then later on in this episode, we have a snippet into this week's forecast reading. So without further ado, let's crack on. So as I say, we're going to be discussing the topic of blending with nature. Now, as we all know, this is certainly a part of life that gives us that energy boost, that brings us joy, that brings us peace, that brings us clarity in each and every one of our lives. So we're going to be discussing and diving deep with this topic. So with this being said, I would urge all of you to observe when you do get that urge to connect with nature. Now, I'm sure there's many of you listening that get that on a regular basis. Some of you may be denying the fact that that's what's actually happening, that calling back to nature. And what I mean by this is you'll feel that magnetic pull to go to either a location, and these locations can be anywhere around the world. You could be feeling that call to go near an ocean or flowing water like a river or a stream, even going into woodland or open fields or even deserts or even sand dunes. The list goes on. But nevertheless, on some level, all of us, at some part of our life, will feel that calling. Like I said earlier, for a lot of us, it's a more regular based thing than just, once in a lifetime. And we'll feel it and we'll understand that that's what it's about. And we feel that natural desire to connect back in with nature. And when we do, it's a beautiful, satisfying experience. We feel a level of calm, peace, serenity, tranquility, and it almost slows us down, doesn't it? It calms the vibration, calms the nerves, and it resets the soul. I would say that we all require this level of connection to nature for this very reason. Because as I'm sure you'll agree, most of us live our lives in society, in a town, in a city, in a village, and we have obviously family, we have work, we have stimulation by electronic devices, news, media, music. We have all of these things they're brilliant, don't get me wrong, but they can all add up to be distractions from you actually hearing this call from Mother Nature and this urge and desire to reconnect and tap into those vibrations. So technology and everything and all of these stimulants in our life are fantastic. They build up that rich tapestry of our lives, don't they? But, sometimes I believe that this is why some people are striving and trying and doing this, doing that and the other. And all of a sudden, they still don't feel satisfied whether they have, whether they're financially secure, whether they're secure in a relationship, and they have all of their needs met. Yet on some level, they feel like there's a piece of the puzzle missing. And it is in my belief that that piece of the puzzle missing is you not listening to that calling and answering that call from Mother Nature. So I believe we all require this in order to flourish and grow and live a more balanced lifestyle. And I feel that, I've experienced it as well, that being out in nature, it restores our vibrations and it helps us to remember who we are. And on many levels, maybe this is why we have all of these distractions in place, the electronic devices, the news, the music, the media, in some way, shape or form to distract us from remembering the truth of who we truly are. And what are we? Let's answer that question. What are we? I would say we're a soul experiencing life through a physical vessel. That's the truth of who we are. And when we realize that power and that truth of that statement, there's nothing that we can't achieve. That is in my belief system anyway. But you're more than welcome to explore that further. But we'll leave that for another episode. I believe that is a show in itself there. But as I say, nature, it restores our vibrations, and it's almost like a factory reset, shall we say. When we go out in nature, we feel that calmness. We feel that life is slowing down. The mind's chatter starts to slow down, and we feel that reset. And in that slowing down of those vibrations and those thoughts, this is where we get a glimpse or a snapshot of who we truly are. And like we said earlier, we are all spirit having a human experience through our physical body. And when we connect in with that truth, things that maybe captured our imagination, our attention, distractions, start to become irrelevant, nonsensical, if you will. Because when you get to the truth of who you are, all of these things are just nothing. They're just surface noise. Doesn't mean a great deal in the grand scheme of things in life and in vibration and in energy. So you'll notice that you won't allow things to trouble or bother you the way in which they did before you reconnected with nature. As I say, nature heals you. So it doesn't matter what you've been going through or you are going through in your life. You may have gone through bereavement, grief, a loss in a relationship, maybe a breakdown in a relationship or a friendship. There could be, moving in and out of jobs and you find yourself out of work. Whatever the circumstances are, get yourself out in nature, follow that calling. And what you will find, as I say, nature has a unique way of slowing you down, calming the pulse rate, calming the nervous system. And it enables you in this calmness, in this slowing down of your vibration, to receive inspiration. As I say, it resets the mind and the vibrations there. So when you take away that mental noise and you just allow yourself to be in that moment in nature, this is where inspiration can strike. And what is inspiration? In my experience, it's influences coming from your higher self and your spirit guides. And it's a great opportunity for them in that slowing down of your vibration and just having that blankness in your mind. It's a great opportunity for them to come in, blend with your energy, and then deliver this packet of information, this inspiration that perhaps is going to help you see life differently because you've taken that time to slow down. So in these moments, there's some great opportunities that can be had, not only by yourself, but by spirit. And inspiration usually comes through in the form of either a repetitive thought or a visualization in your mind, similar to a daydream. Maybe you've been trying to work a situation out in your life, or if you're a DIY enthusiast and you've been making something and you haven't quite got there with getting it right, Having some time out in nature, you will start to have these visualizations like a daydream occur. You'll also get feelings as well, emotional feelings, emotional resets. And you may be lucky enough to hear direct voice, either from your spirit guides, from your higher self. And usually this voice that I'm talking about, it's like a thought. You know, that internal monologue, that internal dialogue that we all have when we're in thought, and we'll think to ourselves, oh, I've got this job to do today. I need to go shopping. I've got this to buy for the household or something like that. We hear that inner monologue, that dialogue ticking away there in the background. That inspiration will come similar to that. And it may be in the same tone, your inner dialogue that you're used to, or if you're lucky enough, it may come in a slightly different tone of inner voice. And this slightly different tone of inner voice is either your higher self or your spirit guides that are there helping you and inspiring you with this information. Now, it comes in very quickly, so you have got to be very present, paying attention. And in my experience, I liken this experience, if you will, if anybody that's out there remembers the game show Generation Game. And what happened in that show is they had a conveyor belt, and on that conveyor belt, they had a vast array of random prizes that you could win. And the way that you won those prizes is that you had to remember each one of those items after it went by you, and then you came out of a booth, came out towards the audience, and you had to recite everything that you can remember that you've seen going by you on that conveyor belt. The reason why I use this analogy is a very important one, because spirit work in a similar way. They will show you this guidance, this inspiration very rapidly, very quickly. You have to be present. You have to observe, because 9 times out of 10, in my experience, it's a one-time only offer. So it won't come round again. And it's like this. Certainly a lot of the times with inspiration, you have to be there ready. And if you're like me, I have quite a short-term memory issue. So I don't recall a lot of information after somebody said something. That's it. It's gone for me. So with me being aware of that being one of my, I wouldn't say it's a problem, but it is one of my traits, then what I do is I take a pen and paper where I go. I have my phone, and obviously in the phone we can take notes, or we can even record a voice note, can't we, into our electronic device. So I use technology to help me with these traits that I have personally. And so when I get inspiration that comes in, knowing the fact that, my memory's not that great in remembering short-term things, I recite it into electronic devices, and I, write it, type it, and then go and review that later. And it's very important that we do this. Particularly for me, I get song ideas. As you know, I'm a musician as well. And so I hum and I whistle and I tap these ideas down into the phone, and I review them at a later date, because I know that this is a one-time only offer when this inspiration comes in. So you have to be prepared and you have to be ready. Anyway, getting back on topic, like I say, you will receive inspiration. And what I've just described to you and the analogies that I've shared with you are generally, in my experience, how this inspiration is gifted to you. So pay attention. You will be amazed that a walk around the block where you live or out in nature, when you're going through periods of, say, struggle, unease in your life, and you can't see the wood for the trees, so to speak, then going out, maybe half an hour if you can, will actually give you the inspiration to move you out of that, shall we say, dead end area in your life that you can't see no way out of. And it's amazing when it comes in, you feel rejuvenated. You feel back in alignment with yourself and excited again by life. So do pay attention. Make sure you're recording this inspiration that's coming in. Obviously, getting out in nature is a great resource for us all to ground and balance our vibration. It allows us to reset our vibration into this dimension that we're living in, on the earth plane. The reason I say this is there's a lot of us out there, myself included. Obviously, as you know, I work with spirit and I go in and out of other dimensions. So I tap into the spirit realm. I can also tap into the elemental realm as well. I only get brief glances of that, but I feel privileged that I've been allowed that access now and again to actually witness and interact with the elemental realm. But with me saying this, grounding is very important because sometimes we can be so out there tapping into these other vibrations, these other realms in each of our lives. One of these examples is when we go into daydream mode, when we're visualizing our life, how we would like it to unfold, which many of you would call manifesting. You know, we're manifesting the life that we desire. And there's nothing wrong with doing that at all. In fact, I encourage people to daydream more often. It's a very important tool, I feel. But with me saying that, sometimes we can get lost in that realm to such an extent that we're not being present in the here and the now. And so grounding, getting out in nature, can bring us back to our now moment consciousness. And we can blend all of these experiences together in order to thrive at our best vibration. So grounding is very important so that we're aware of who we are and where we are in our present moment consciousness. Because as we know, if we're not being here now, when we're having conversations with people, we're not taking the information in. When we're maybe at work or doing specific tasks, we're not fully there and we can't undertake the tasks that are required for us to get involved with. And it can make life quite difficult if we haven't got that balance right in our lives where we are grounded. So it's very important that you do this by going out in nature. And simply all it takes is either sitting on a park bench, having a walk, a steady walk. You don't have to make it a quick walk, but a steady walk, and just being there for a present moment in time. And whilst you're in that environment, just observing everything. So you'll be looking with your eyes. You'll be feeling with your physical senses there. You'll be feeling with your emotional body as well. You'll be hearing the sounds. You'll be looking at the textures. You'll be listening to the different birds that are tweeting and the different noises in that environment. And the colours, the vibration that the colours have and the vibration of the ley lines in the land of that area will all bring you back into present moment consciousness. So that's how you do it. That's how you get yourself grounded. There are other techniques that I also advise people to do, particularly if you are housebound or, there's no way for you to get out in nature for whatever reason. And these techniques are you actually, again, similar to what we've described before, is you observing all of your physical senses, your attributes. So if you can't go out in nature, then look through your physical eyes at your surroundings. If you're in a living room, for example, look at the colours of the wall. Look at the texture of the wallpaper. Look at the layout of the room. Look at how the light falls into that room through the window. Listen to the sounds in that room. Everybody's rooms have their own natural resonance. So you'll hear the sounds of that room. And when you move, you'll hear the resonance of that experience coming back. Also notice your temperature, your body temperature in that room. And just observe that. And then just observe your physicality, where you're sat, the pressure that you feel underneath you when you're sat on a seat or a settee. Be aware of all of these things and focus your attention on all of these things in that moment. And what that will do, that is another form of you grounding your vibration, bringing yourself back into present moment consciousness. So there's a little technique for those of you that may be either ill in hospital or haven't got the ability to go out in nature as much as you'd like to. You can still reset your vibrations and ground your energy wherever you happen to be by doing that. But moving back into blending with nature, I believe that there's great healing that can be occurred from having that interaction with nature. One of those healings that I do when I get the opportunity is tree hugging. Now, I know there will be a lot of you listening to this that's thinking, tree hugging? Is this guy a hippie? A bald-headed hippie? Yes, I'll take that if that's how you want to describe me. But yes, anyway, what I'm getting at with this is tree hugging is a form of deep healing where nature takes away old vibrations from you, maybe negative vibrations, negative ions in your vibration and atmosphere that are keeping you small, that are keeping you from experiencing the flow of life. And by literally going into woodland, looking around you, and when you feel that urge, that magnetic pull, you're attracted, this is probably a wrong terminology, but you're magnetically attracted, let's put it that way, to a tree. Trust that intuition of yours and go over to that tree and literally wrap your arms around it and give it a hug. And as I say, this is where the magic happens, because this is where nature begins to take all of that old vibration from you that's no longer serving you. And what you will feel in this experience, don't feel embarrassed for one, just go with the flow, hold your arms around that tree, ask permission in your mind to the tree. I'd like to ask Mother Nature to heal thy hurts and to rid me of any old energies that no longer serve me in my present moment consciousness, or words to that effect. And once you do that and ask permission, you will then notice that your energy will begin to start to feel lighter. As you feel this drawing sensation coming from the top of your head, moving all the way through your physical body and out of the soles of your feet. And you'll feel this draining feeling. It's very peculiar. You'll feel this density of energy draining out of the physical and energetic body. Just go with it. Don't be intimidated. Don't be frightened by it. This is a natural progression. And just allow yourself to witness this experience. That's all you're doing, just observing the experience as you've asked for it. The next thing you'll notice, this heaviness will again be removed from your physical and energetic body. You'll start to feel lighter. And at that point, then this is where you'll feel another vibration entering your physical and energetic body. And it will feel very light. Some of you may experience goosebumps on the arms or the back of the neck. You'll feel an electrostatic tingling sensation from your head right down your torso, going through your legs and till it reaches your soles of your feet. And so what is happening in this encounter is that the old energies are being taken away, and these energies are being taken away by Mother Nature to be replenished, to be healed and transmuted into positive energy. And then you are then being replenished with positive, loving, healing codes of vibrations that are being installed into your energetic and physical body. What I'd like you to do, whilst you're still holding the tree there, hugging the tree, just allow this process to unfold. And when you feel that tingly sensation, that electrostatic feeling that I've described, you feel lighter, you feel energized, almost a little bit hyperactive, then at that moment in time, that's when you show your gratitude to that tree and say, thank you very much. Thank you. I love you. Thank you, or words to that effect. I appreciate you. Then you can obviously take your arms away from the tree and step back and start to carry on with your walk in nature. And you'll notice that you just feel full of energy. You'll feel recharged. You'll have a different viewpoint. You'll feel more awake, more alert, more aware. Your eyesight and your peripheral vision will start to open up a little bit more. And the colours that you experience in nature, the greens, the browns, the oranges, will start to become more vivid. That's when you've done it correctly anyway, when you've allowed and when you've asked permission to work with nature by hugging a tree. But it's a beautiful experience. And there's been many times when I've done this and there's been people walking by you and they're looking at you, staring at you, gone out thinking, what is this guy doing? He's hugging a tree. Let them think what they want. But once you've experienced this experience for yourself, you never go back. You never concern yourself about what people think. The experience and the balancing of your vibrations far outweighs any embarrassment or shame that may be pointed in your direction whilst you're doing this. But it's an amazing experience, and I employ all of you to at least give it a go. But certainly there's no going back once you've tried it. So also, blending with nature, what you will experience is this clarity of your mind, and you'll have this connection to spirit, as we've mentioned previously. Maybe before entering nature, your mind's been very busy with to-do lists, with worrying about people in the family or your friends, worrying about the finances, and you've got all of this noise in your mind ticking away. It's almost like a time bomb ready to explode or implode with the vast amount of information that is occurring in your mind. As I've said previously on other episodes, that we are all transmitters and receivers of information, and information comes in many forms. Obviously, thought form, visual, sound, emotions, sensations there. And all of that information gathering together in the mind can create unnecessary noise. So if that is the case with yourself, treat yourself by dedicating maybe 5 minutes, an hour, even a day if you can, to getting out in nature. And you'll notice that that noise that you've been experiencing in your mind will be quietened, and it will become less intrusive, where you'll start to reflect on the truth of who you are and the situation that you're in. And like we said earlier, this is where you get that clarity and where you get that inspiration coming in. And it's a beautiful feeling when you arrive at that destination. So, so beautiful. So I want you to also to be aware of divine oneness when you're out in nature. Now, again, to most of you, this may sound a little bit hippie of me talking like this, but if that's what you want to think, then fair play to you. But in actual fact, what I'm talking about, being aware of divine oneness, is that noticing and observing that we are all connected to each other. How many of you that are listening to this have experienced what I'm about to describe to you? So when you're out in nature, you're on a walk, and you'll see other people doing the same thing. All of a sudden, there's this natural feeling that rises up to the surface where you feel compelled to say, hello, good morning, how are you? Or words to that effect. And you can't help yourself when this comes up to the surface. Some of us stifle that need to communicate by looking at our feet or looking around when we happen to pass individuals. Some of us have our headphones on. And I've got to say, I've been guilty of that myself from time to time. But I would say when you feel that inclination to say good morning, how are you? Go for it. Move beyond the fear and limiting thoughts that you hold around that. And you'll be surprised as you observe that person or people that you've said good morning to, their body language will start to change. Maybe prior to you talking to them, they looked a little bit miserable, a little bit lost. And just by you reaching out, say, good morning, how are you? You'll see their physicality, their body language start to change, and that smile will appear. Even if it's for a brief moment, you've lifted their vibrations. You've made them felt seen, heard, and recognized. And that in itself, I'm sure you'll all agree, is a beautiful thing to experience. But moving back to what we were saying about being aware of divine oneness, you'll also notice that you'll have a level of empathy and admiration for the animals in the environment that you happen to be in. How many times have you experienced this when you've been out in nature and you see a duck? Most of us don't see a duck in our everyday lives. So when we see a duck or a squirrel or something like that, it brings a sense of joy, and we just pause and we watch and we observe that creature for that brief moment in time. And in doing so, we start to admire their beauty, their behavior, the coloration, their temperament, and we start to appreciate that we are part of that experience. We are part of them as they are part of us. And in that brief moment in pausing and observing, on some level, it is my belief that we are pausing because we are realizing again who we truly are in that now moment consciousness. So it's a beautiful experience, and just notice this. The next time you are out, it will be a natural state that you will find yourself getting into when you're in divine oneness with nature. I'd also like to say the calming experience that we all get when we're out in nature, whether, like I said earlier, it's the seaside, whether it's woodland, whether it's open grassland or sand dunes, wherever it happens to be, there's this calming feeling that washes over us. And I believe that a lot of this is due not only to the vibrations, the ley lines of that land there, but also the colour in that location offers a vibration, a frequency. And you imagine all of these different colours that we see in nature, you know, like we say, the sandy colour, the cream colour, the browns, the yellows, the oranges, all of those frequencies in that environment create a harmonic resonance that we can feel, we pick up with our emotions. Yes, we can see it visually, but as you know, colour is frequency, is a vibration. And all of this, I would say, cacophony of harmonic resonance is having an impact on us in that moment. So be aware of that. And I'm sure most of you do when you go and visit, a stately home where there's some beautiful rose gardens or something of that nature there, where we see all of these different colorations in that environment. It has such a healing and calming vibration on us all, doesn't it, when we are in the vibration of that. So just be mindful of that, as this will allow you to feel back into love, the vibration of love. And what I'm talking about by saying this, it will enable us to show ourselves some self-love, some respect, by allowing ourselves to be more kind and gentle to ourselves, the way that we think, the noise that we allow in our minds. And it enables us to reset to that, as we said earlier, factory default, where we are all connected to one another. We are all love, we are all light, and we are all connected. And just to round this conversation off, giving you a few examples where I've experienced things in nature And as I've said earlier, inspiration being one of them. I've had inspiration from my guides, from the universe, with music. As I say, I'm a producer, I'm a musician, and it's usually in these quiet spots where I get ideas for songs, maybe lyric content or a melody or a drum beat or something like that. And it comes in very quickly. I grab the phone and I hum it, sing it or whistle it or beat bop it into that device to listen to and observe at a later stage. I've also had the inspiration for books. As you know, I'm also an author as well and a content creator. And some of the conversations that I have, including the one that we're having now, on some level are influenced by me getting out in nature and creating that sacred space in my mind, in my consciousness, for my higher self and spirit guides to blend and influence me on some way, shape or form with the content and the information that I share with you all. I've also been given, obviously, as I've alluded to earlier, if I'm going through situations in my life that I see as a perceived problem or a roadblock, all it takes for me is 20 minutes walk in nature, where I slow my consciousness down, reset the way that I'm breathing, where I observe the colours and embrace the experience as I'm experiencing it. And in that moment, this is where that inspiration comes in, because I've allowed that space to build in my mind or to open up in my mind for this information, this help and this healing to come in. And I've had some amazing ideas that have come in from spirit. And obviously we all have that gift of free will where we can choose whether to implement that inspiration into our lives or to ignore it. The choice is always ours in any one given moment. But in my personal experience, if we do embrace the inspiration from spirit and our higher self and we put it into action, then you will be amazed of the results that come in from doing that. It's almost as if we're being given a cheat sheet and we're being fast-tracked on the path of least resistance in our own timeline by following that inspirational guidance. That is my experience. I know that when I have ignored that inspiration that's been gifted to me, and it is a gift, then I've gone through an experience of struggle, of frustration, a sense of lack, and a sense of aggravation. So I've learned over the course of my life that, as I say, this inspiration is a one-time only deal. So get ready to record and remember that information as it comes in directly to you in these moments, because it will offer you support, guidance, unconditional love, healing, and like we said, it will give you that cheat sheet, that fast tracking on your timeline to move with the path of least resistance. So I hope this conversation today has actually inspired you to get out there in nature and to appreciate the beautiful blessings that it has for us all, as we all come back to center and realignment and move back to what I would describe as our own personal factory reset, where we can thrive in our present moment consciousness. We're now going to move into the next segment of the show, which is this week's channeling from the world of spirit, which sees me becoming a vessel for spirit to bring their wisdoms and communications forward. And as you hear me say most weeks, this is my favorite section of the show because I have no idea what is about to come through. So I'm going to listen to this with you, and I'm going to revel in the information that spirit have brought forward for us all this week. So sit back, relax, take some notes if you wish, and enjoy this week's channeling from the world of spirit.
Hello, my name is Arthur Simon Jenkins, and I've been given the task to come forward and speak about the human resolve and the human perseverance. You are greater than you think you are, A lot of you have been squashed down to think that you are lesser than what you truly are, and we're here to tell you that, in actual fact, you've accomplished many, many miraculous things, not only as a species, but as an individual on your timeline within your life. You have pushed forward and you have moved beyond your own limitations, far beyond each and every one of you originally perceived. So with this being said, you are being fed various information from all aspects of society, including what you would call the leaders, the politicians, those that make their decisions and implement them onto general population. And instead you believe that that is the truth, that is the essence. Not all of you, but most of you do, and you follow suit. And it is ingrained into your psychology to the point where you feel as if you can't obtain things or achieve things because of the limiting belief programming that has been installed into you. We're here to say that on the cusp of the change that is happening to every single one of you on this planet, you will all begin to realize that you are resilient and that your self-worth is far more greater than what you've given yourself credit for. And all of the information, the answers, the help, the encouragement in order you to facilitate your accomplishments on your timeline, all of that information is always given to you. And to some of you, this may sound rather peculiar because you always think of the negative situation first, and you rationalize your way through those situations in your mind in order to get to the destination. We say there's a greater way of doing things, and this is that the universe always says yes to you. So that will speed up the process of you achieving, thriving in life, rather than surviving, picking up scraps from others, if you understand our terminology. We wish you all to start thinking in this way. Of course it's going to work out. Everything's running to plan. Not necessarily your own plan, but divine universal plans. And when you tap into that energy, it has a flow. It has a liquidity about it where everything happens in the right place at the right time, you must understand. So we're encouraging you all to get into that state of consciousness and awareness. And like we say, the way you go about doing that is thinking differently. Of course it's going to work out. Everything's going with the flow. I will get there on time. I will get the resources that I need to fulfill the project that I'm involved and invested in. You see? Already it sounds more uplifting and positive. When you hold that vibration in your personal vibration, you'll notice that these changes will be implemented almost instantaneously into your existence. So we're here to encourage you to think slightly and feel slightly differently, complete opposite of everything you've been taught. For most of you, this will be rather uncomfortable because you're going against all of those years and that time that you have invested into learning the process of how society works. And in fact, it's the complete opposite of that in order to thrive and live on your highest timeline. I've also been given the task of informing you all about love. Many of you just perceive that it's about romantic love, and we say, no, it's the glue that binds everything in the universe together. However, it is a part. It does play a vast role in romantic relationships, true, authentic, soulmate connections. And there will be a lot of you that are listening to this that have had a very rocky ride in where this is concerned. And we say that these relationships, so-called relationships, have been implanted on your timeline in order for you to grow and to take you to the next level of your development, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. So please do not despise or throw any negative vibrations to those people you were once involved with, because they were some of your greatest teachers. And as we say, they helped you to grow into the true essence of who you are. With this being said, there will be those of you that are listening to this that have found yourself treading the pathway of being single. And we would say to you, there is no shame in being a single individual, romantically speaking. However, when you open your heart and your mind and you rid and reframe a lot of the previous relationships you've had, reframing them as people you are involved with were your greatest teachers, you'll begin to recognize that love will chase you. Connection will chase you. And it's a very peculiar experience because it goes against everything that you've worked towards before in relationships. And we say it's when everything has a time of its own, everything matches up. And what is meant for you will not pass you by. So those of you that are fretting or feel elements of social anxiety when you're amongst people that are in relationships and couples, we say to you, don't. Show yourself the same level of degree and devotion as what you would do to a physical relationship, a partner. We want you to show yourself that love and appreciation and be gentle and kind with yourself. There will be a lot of you listening to this that are very, shall we say, harsh on yourself. You put yourselves down to such a degree that you feel lesser than the individual that you are. Nobody is telling you this. It's internal miswiring, shall we say. But we're here to inform you, you must love yourself unconditionally for who you are, or your traits, your personality, quirks. And when you are at peace with that, this is when the love vibration, your romantic counterpart, your partner, has a clear runway, a freeway to come into your life and blossom and grow with you on this shared path union. So we hope this has given you something to consider the next time you find yourself worrying about various aspects on your life. And we encourage you to love yourself more and to rewire the psychology in your subconscious mind of everything you've been taught through your society. This will be quite a culture shock to a lot of you, because you will have to let go of the ego that wants to be right, that wants to stay stuck and safe. You'll have to let that element go to such a point where you are in no way, shape or form in any resistance vibrations. I've said enough, and I've been instructed to step aside and let another communicator come through. So it's been an absolute pleasure to speak with you, and we hope that you take on board some of the things that we have spoken with you. We send our love, we send our devotion to you at this time. Hopefully you can hear me more prominently than you did previously. I've come forward with a simple message to encourage you all to sit in the power. Sitting in the power is the action of just being, slowing the vibrations of the mind down and focusing in on your breathing and just being in that moment. And in that moment, you will feel tingling energy building up around your physicality, to the point where it feels like you have electricity running through you. This is the power that we speak of. And by focusing and acknowledging those feelings in that moment, you are therefore holding that vibrational power source to your vessel. It takes practice to hold this energy, because it can come in and go very fleeting. This is because you're just observing, and with sitting in the power, we're encouraging you to observe, yet consciously be involved in the process of focusing in and dialing into those sensations and feelings. And it is that will help you to hold those frequencies. You will find in this sacred space that you will all experience an upgrade energetically, mentally, and emotionally, also physically. For this energy that you are sitting in, the power, is consciousness. It is the energy of the Creator being amplified so that you can get all of the sustenance and the upgrades that you need, so that you can step aside and trust the universe is working with you and through you, because after all, you are the universe. There is no separation. Separation is just a concept that was created by man in order to keep you small and living a life less imagined. So our message to you all today is, when you can, do not put any excuses on the fact, but when you can, we encourage you to sit in the power and watch your world around you and your experience of it change tenfold. You will get wisdom beyond your years, inspiration beyond the limiting thought processes of mankind. You will also achieve a sense of nirvana, where no longer are you allowing the restraints of your society to keep you locked in and small and following the herd, so to speak. You will feel very comfortable in your own vibration, your own bubble, and the energies that you create from being in this state will be amplified and spread far and wide from your energy. And it will have a remarkable effect on the environments in which you happen to be in and interact with, the people that you come into conjunction with. And also you'll be paying forward, and to help you understand what we're referring to, forward and backwards in every aspect of your timeline. This also includes going back through your family lineage and your soul's journey in previous incarnations. When you now, from now on and in, when you sit in the power, you are aligning all of those vibrations and energies, because as we've said many times, there is no future, no past. All there is now. But we use those terms in this communication to make you understand the fact, what we're talking about, the vast array of healing that you will all receive in the now moment consciousness, and it will have an impact on every facet of your soul's fragmental state. We've spoken far too long, but we hope this information finds you well and encourages you. If you've never done this type of work before, sitting in the power, in a nutshell, is just you sitting in this beautiful, calm energy, removing all thoughts from your mind, being present and focusing in on those feelings and sensations that we have spoke of. It will take time for those of you that have never done this before, but we assure you very rapidly you will get used to the emanations and vibrations that this practice will fulfill. We send you our utmost respect and love, and thank you for listening and feeling into the energy vibrations of this communication we share with you today. God bless you all, and we will come back in due course to speak further on this matter. Goodbye for now.
We're now going to move into the next segment of the show, which is this week's forecast reading from Spirit. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the insights for your week ahead. Hello, my name is Glenn Boddice and I'm a spiritual medium, and welcome to this week's energy forecast reading for the week commencing Monday the 19th of May 2025. Now, those of you that watched me work before will know that I connect with my spirit guides and helpers and also consult the wisdom of the angel tarot card. So what I'm about to do is just shuffle the pack and allow a card to come out for this week's energy forecast reading. So here is your card for this week. I'm now going to link into the vibration. First of all, I'm being told that this week will see you flipping the script of your life. And what I mean by that is if you have had a negative outlook in your life, you're going to be turning that around and having that mentality of course, everything's going to work out. Of course, I'm going to get the finances. And of course, I'm going to meet those people. And it's just going to be a different breath of fresh air for you this week. Also this week, what I am being told is that you will become very forgetful. And this is not a bad thing because you'll be letting go of some of that information that is clogging up space in your psychology, in your vibration, that's stopping you from being the best version of yourself in your present moment consciousness. Now, this will be, again, very, you will embrace it because it's going to help you to thrive on your... This is the end of the free version of the weekly forecast reading. If you would like to see the entirety of this week's forecast reading, then you can do that by subscribing. And as a subscriber, what you will receive is the full version of the weekly forecast reading. You will also receive the audio for the weekly radio show, and also you'll receive 10% off all of my spiritual services there. So this includes all of the readings there for you to benefit from. And also you will receive new updates and information and news of what's happening with myself and the services that I provide, and also the events that I take part in. You'll hear all about that ahead of everybody else. And this is because you're a subscriber to Glenn Boddice Spiritual Medium. So you can find a link either above or below this video, where by clicking on the link, you can then become a subscriber to reap all of the benefits that I've described to you. So I look forward to having you on this journey with me as a Glenn Boddice Spiritual Medium subscriber. Thank you for taking time to watch this video and supporting the work that Spirit and myself work together in doing so. Interesting week for us all. If you have any questions for the show, please contact me at glennboddice@live.co.uk or go to my website www.glennboddicespiritualmedium.com. Have a fabulous week, everybody. Take care, and I'll see you next time. Thank you for listening to From Beyond. For more information about what products and services Glenn provides. Go to glennboddicespiritualmedium.com